Greetings. Thank you again for being part of this journey called Amrit Vani. Amrit means eternal, Vani means the voice, and it's from the Sanskrit Hindi word which talks about the word of God being everlasting and eternal. And we just are a group of people who love you and want to bring perspectives that may not be something that the world or the usual conversations are geared to. And hopefully, what we present here will help you to understand yourself and the world better. And beyond that, we hope that you would connect with God, Jesus, who is somebody who loves you, cares for you, and has created humans in wonderful ways, which probably is not celebrated today. But I have with me Vivek. He is a good friend of mine, and I am looking forward to share with a larger audience the thoughts that goes through this wonderful human being. Why I say wonderful is that he is extremely organized in his housekeeping skills, in the sense I have visited his house, and you would see everything in order, in place, and he really uh, helps in that. um, Secondly, he is also somebody who has a unique perspective to a lot of things that maybe you and me are not aware of or used to, and that's because that's the way he is built. So the Bible talks about the great Psalm 23, the famous Psalm 23, I would say, where the Lord is our shepherd. And the Bible also talks about in that psalm that though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil. So the point is, in our Christian journey or in our human journey itself, there will be places of discomfort. There may be places where we are not enjoying the walk, but Vivek has something unique to that. What he was telling me is that it doesn't mean that everyone needs to flourish when the environment is good. Vivek was mentioning that you don't have to have everybody going through good situations to see their best. So, Vivek, over to you. You were talking to me about the cactus plant when it comes to this situation. Can you elaborate?
Yes, so Thomas, thank you once again for this opportunity to talk. And I do believe that God has created us wonderfully, fearfully. But there's another thing that He's created us is uniquely, and not necessarily that two people are similar in spite of them being from the same family or the same parents. They could be as different as siblings' fingerprints. And if we are different, then the goal is not uniformity, the goal is unity.
Once more,
And
that was a good point. You said the goal is not uniformity, the goal is unity. Unity in what?
unity, even our constitution holds it. It says unity in diversity. It doesn't
Mhm,
necessarily mean all of us ought to be uniform, because all of us are not uniform.
mhm,
Even when we look at people around us, we talk different languages, we appear differently, we our genetic makeup is slightly different. Some are dark, some are fair, some are tall, some are short, some are stout. We're different. But when we also look at animals or plants, not everything, all animals are not the same. Within a single species there is diversity. When we look at plants, not ideally, if you were to ask a gardener, and the gardener says that to grow plants you need good fertile soil, you need a lot of water, moisture, and which is true. He wouldn't be lying that when he says that. And you see most of the plants will flourish, if it's a stream of water that goes besides, and you've got plants over there, they would flourish. But then also one needs to realize that there are cactuses, and the
Mhm.
cactuses are plants which don't need much water.
I agree to that. Excuse me for that because my wife is a gardening buff, and I come from the background to say that you water every plant nicely, but she really was. Uh, she gave me clear instructions not to water the desert rose. And some people call it that Indian because she says too much water will just rot its roots. So she tells me, whatever you do, don't put water there. I'll take care of that. So she
Yeah.
just puts a hint of water, maybe once or twice a week to that plant. But I really, connect with what you're saying. So carry on.
Thomas, you used the phrase. He says, "Your wife told you I will take care of that." And I think
Yeah.
that's exactly how I feel. God watches over the people that He has created as an exception, because He has placed people with general instructions around Him to do whatever is common for majority.
Hmm.
But for those whom He has made rather independently and uniquely, you know, He knows that He has to pay that extra attention upon them,
Hmm.
so that
So that's a
they are.
good point. Like there are people who can be uniformly instructed and directed,
Mhm.
but there are also plants or individuals who need an extra touch of God's personal attention. And
True.
that's a good perspective. I've never thought of it that way. Carry on, Vivek. Sorry if I've interrupted
No,
your
no, no.
flow of thoughts.
I think your interruption was not much. It was more of, I think you were highlighting the important aspect,
Yeah, I
and thank
think
you for
so.
that. So I was also thinking about, because I come across as a person who doesn't seem to fit in. So I'm more like
Mhm.
a cactus, is what I have realized. And the thought that came to me was, when Thomas, actually you asked me to talk about something, and I was struggling to realize what is it that I should talk about. And then suddenly the idea went on a cactus, that the cactus could be, within a well watered, flourishing environment where there are beautiful trees and plants flowering such in vibrant colors. And yet you will find this cactus dying. And some of us who find ourselves to be a little offbeat, out of the box, a little abnormal, or people with disorders around them, have a tendency to not grow where everybody else grows.
Mhm.
And if you are able to identify yourself as a person who is not able to grow well where everyone else around you is growing well, where there is ample water, ample soil, ample moisture, ample nutrients, but for
Mhm.
some reason you seem to be like cactus, you will realize that life is a lot tough for you. Because remember, cactus is not made for well watered land.
Mhm.
It is made for uh, deserts where most of the other plants will never survive in
So speaking in
conditions.
human terms, what you're saying is that while a lot of people may thrive when the going is good, when all the factors around them, when it comes to human terms, you would assume that you have good health, you have a lot of money, you have all the comforts taken care of, or is there
Mhm.
something else that you think? Is it just physical or?
No, I think it's psychological and emotional also.
Yeah, so when you're feeling good, when everybody is saying yay and clapping your achievements, when you are hitting all the right notes, that's where most people would like to be in and they thrive. And if those situations are not there, like what happened when the COVID situation hit, a lot of people, they just fall in mass, and that's what we call drought. If a land is getting good water all through the year and everything is going well consistently, and then there's suddenly a stop in the rain, then everything dies around them.
Mhm.
And but I think the cactus would thrive in that situation.
Yes. So when I talk about cactus, what do I mean to say? Life is not necessarily smooth for you. You are
Mm-hmm.
not somebody who is born up with a golden spoon in your mouth. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have the kind of opportunities that your friends have. You
Mm-hmm.
do not have a family background which is very intellectual. You don't have a family background which is functional. You may belong to a dysfunctional family.
Mm-hmm.
You might have a troubled childhood. You might even be economically not very strong.
Mm-hmm.
But then always I would want you to, rather than being discouraged,
Mm-hmm.
focus your attention to God, because it's the same God who's created the rose and the palms, and He's
Mm-hmm.
also created the cactus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but he's made cactus to uniquely survive in an environment where is best for the
Mm-hmm.
cactus. You give
Mm-hmm.
too much water and too much nutrients, the cactus will die. And if you probably are going through life where it's really challenging for you, you may want to just stop rather than cursing God or
Mm-hmm.
cursing life in itself. What if this experience of desert is what you were intended to be born for,
Mm-hmm.
because you've got certain skills in you and the gifts in you that will only manifest in certain arid conditions. And for others, their life would only manifest the best of them when they are in a certain environment. So yes, you are
Wonderful.
unique in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
The world may enjoy being next to a stream of water and all, but also remember that when the situations are arid in the
Mm-hmm.
desert, you know, both animal and people who are lost, they can
Mm-hmm.
actually survive off the cactus.
Wonderful. So this is a great message for all those who are listening. Appreciate that there are good times and bad times in life, and there are certain people who will thrive when good times are happening. But there are also people who thrive when the going gets tough.
Yes.
There are people who may not necessarily thrive when everything is good around them, and it's a perspective that needs more thought and contemplation, especially this is also a message for those who feel that they are struggling, that the environment around them is not good. You are going through a lot of trouble. Whatever you try to do is turning out to be bad. Here's a word of comfort: in the end everything works out. Technically, in the end, we are all dead. The cactus is dead, and so is the palm tree. But if you're connected to Jesus, even though your physical situations are not conducive, whether you're thriving in the desert or in the rainforest, those things may matter for you now, but eternally it is in God's control, and you can place yourself in God's control, and He will work out things to become the way that best fits you. The cactus has its place, it is best fitting its role. So does the rice plant, which needs a lot of water. So, viewers, again, your thoughts, comments are most welcome. Stay in touch. Put your thoughts here, and over to Vivek for his last thoughts. Vivek, what else would you like to close this session with?
Um, I say to seek comfort in the idea that God is both the God of the hills and the valleys. He's both the God
Mhm,
of the desert and the oasis or the flourishing plains besides the river.
mhm,
And it's He who has made both. It's He who knows to what extent one can bear, to what extent one can be fruitful, and to what extent one can be pushed.
mhm,
I think the God is with us equally wherever we are.
mhm,
And if you feel lost in in life, I think the best person to connect is that gardener. He
mhm.
is the gardener who has placed that seed wherever he wanted us to grow, and he knows best on what we need, and we can go back to him.
Wonderful. So, with that closing thought, if you have any questions or any thoughts that you would like to express to us, feel free to put it in the comments box. If it is something that you have to be in private, that's our numbers and contact details there on the screen. You can WhatsApp at 94260104007, or just come to facebook.com stroke my Jesus temple. That's Vivek here. And thank you all of you for listening. We really appreciate you taking time off. And I hope that whatever you heard will help you to understand who you are, to flourish, or whether you're going through great times or bad times, and more importantly, to connect with Jesus, who loves you and wants you to have eternal life. Thank you so much.